Hey boxing fans, welcome to another edition of Boxing for Real. I'm your host, Don Omega, and Truth with me as always. Today, Krusty the Clown's going to be talking about some fights.
Bozo, whichever one you think.
Not Eric.
Oh yeah, Eric.
Eric.
What kind of name is that for a clown?
Exactly. Anyhow, okay. We got serious business to get into. Hopkins versus Wright. They got the decision wrong.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did. Oh my gosh, what a robbery. I'm calling it highway robbery. That's right. I hope the fine they gave Hopkins, I hope they give that money to Winky Wright. How much of his purse went to the judges?
Let's get on the fine first, because that's ridiculous to fine Hopkins for that reason.
Definitely. For that reason, yes.
Definitely.
But for the robbery, they need to take his whole purse and give it to Wright.
But this is probably the fight that we've had the most.
For shoving someone, all he did was shove.
Yeah, I mean, that was nothing. Riddick
That's no reason to. Yeah,
Riddick hit Larry Donald twice.
Vargas.
And nothing.
Mayorga.
Plenty of times.
Twice.
Nothing has happened from worse incidents than that by far. So that's terrible. Give him his money. But anyway, I thought Hopkins clearly won. You think Wright clearly won?
I'm right.
No.
Like Wright. But
Hopkins landed the more effective punches.
He landed a lot less punches. He landed most of his punches on the gloves.
He landed 15
on the gloves. They were counting punches that landed on the gloves. I don't believe those punch stats at all. There's no way you don't count them. You don't count them if they land on the gloves, and that's what most of Hopkins' shots were landing. I do not,
because of course most of them didn't land.
I really think this fight was. I really think the judges were paid off. I'm not saying they were, because they could sue me for saying such, which is gay as hell. But anyhow, just complete ridiculous. Wright was landing the cleaner shots. He was landing more of them. He was landing hooks all night.
We saw a completely different fight.
He did not use his jab much, I will say that, but I think that was part of his strategy, because the way Hopkins was moving, you're not going to use your jab if a guy's moving to the side. Yeah. All Hopkins did that whole fight was clinch, hit, headbutt. That's all he did the whole night. He used his head relentlessly all night long, just shoving his head, not always just head butting, but also head pushing, just to piss Wright off.
The one headbutt that did the most damage came in.
And stepping on Wright's foot and that kind of stuff, which constantly, he does that in pretty much every fight anyhow, but... And
it was a southpaw against a right-hander also.
But he was purposefully doing it. Yeah. Just the little tricks that he does, which usually I don't mind, but this time I did.
Yeah, let's see. But the headbutt that...
But I scored it 7 rounds to 5 for Wright. I saw Wright win 7 rounds clearly. Okay. Hopkins won 1 round clearly. 4 rounds could have gone to either guy. I gave all 4 of them to Hopkins on my card.
And I saw it 8 rounds to 4.
You're crazy. He is crazy. No. There is no way in hell. 2
of those rounds that I gave Wright were in question. So
do you know how to score fights?
Yes, I do.
I don't think you do.
Because Wright did not land many clean punches. I also don't believe the punch stats at all, because I did not.
You shouldn't, because Wright landed many more clean punches than Hopkins.
I see no way that Wright landed more than 15 more punches than Hopkins, or more than Hopkins.
More than that.
No,
that's right.
No.
You don't count them if they land on the gloves.
I didn't.
Wright was here all night long.
A lot of them were blocked on the gloves, definitely, but more from Hopkins got through than from Wright.
No. But I'm not saying Hopkins didn't land anything the entire night. Of course he did. But Wright landed more. He wobbled Hopkins twice, at least, in the fight. Not to where Hopkins was... Neither guy wobbled either one, where they were in trouble of knocking the fighter down, but... Wright landed the more effective punches. He landed the more telling punches of the fight. He definitely landed the harder punches of the fight, because Hopkins got wobbled. Wright really didn't get wobbled.
And I saw it the complete opposite. So for the same reasons, I think Hopkins won. But that's
and the majority agree with you, which further strengthens my viewpoint. And
yeah, usually that would mine too, but
the thing that doesn't have me too happy, but I have to say, Larry Merchant actually said something right for a change. It happens once in a while. This is one of the very few times Larry Merchant actually agreed with me, and
that should further my argument. That
it should, but this time he's right. Like I said, very seldomly he'll get one right. But anyhow, that's that. I think Wright won. I think the fix was in.
Yeah,
it was a Golden Boy promotion.
That. Well, so was Hopkins Taylor both times, and Taylor got the fight. So
yeah, but he didn't put in his insurance policy. Didn't think he'd need it either time for those. Where this time he might have said, you know what? And I'm not even blaming Hopkins if Hopkins himself went up to the judges and handed them $100,000 each. And said, hey, you know what to do. Even if he did that, I'm not going to hold it as much against Hopkins as I am against the judges, because the judges could have just taken the money politely and scored the fight correctly. And what's he going to do? Accuse them?
Yeah, of course, he couldn't have done that. And no way.
What the hell?
Yeah. Did something. Yeah, of course, he couldn't come out and say what he did.
That fine I got. What about that? You got your fine money. But anyhow, moving on, there's been a lot of other fights. Would love to keep going on and on about this, no point to.
So
the fight is over.
Hopkins won.
I think both guys should continue fighting.
Oh, definitely.
Wright didn't lose, so he needs to continue fighting for sure.
He lost, but keep fighting.
I'd be fine for him staying up at that division or moving down.
He said he was moving down to 160, 154.
He did say that, and I'm absolutely fine with that.
Either way, so definitely. And
he could fight the Taylor Pavlik winner. He could fight Miranda. He could fight
there's plenty of guys 154 and 160. So
even if he stopped at 168. And, I mean, he doesn't have to be 168 to fight there.
No, he just has to be over 160 to fight there. So 161. I mean, I doubt he would come in that low, but whatever.
But whatever. Yeah, I mean, there's fights to be made there. Calzaghe.
And Hopkins called out Calzaghe after the fight. So he's wanting to fight him now. So
and Calzaghe did respond saying, like, he'll have to get in line or something, which I'm not going to hold too much against Calzaghe just because of Hopkins' recent past here of having fights get supposedly come real close to getting made, then falling apart. Mainly. That's the big one.
Of course.
And I have to say, I think there's probably some truth to that with Hopkins having some trickery in the negotiation side of things. Which that's his attempt at mind games more than anything, I believe.
Pretty much.
But it is annoying. Just make the fights.
Yeah, make them and...
Just make them and beat Calzaghe's ass or whatever.
Please.
But anyhow, other fights we had, what were some of the other fights? There were a lot of them.
Well, on that undercard.
Between shows.
On that undercard, Demetrius Hopkins got a first-round knockout.
Not so.
Of course.
Even though it's Demetrius Hopkins, the
main event person's nephew. Ridiculous.
Relative.
But, anyway, and also Rock Allen, also on the off-TV undercard.
Unanimous decision 6. We
rounds.
did see Katsidis versus Amansat.
Yeah.
Katsidis seems pretty raw to me, I have to say. He's got a lot of power, I'll say that. And Amansat must have been pretty tough because you could tell when the punches were landing that they were hurting.
Yeah, and especially in the 10th, he was just wailing on him completely, and it took a lot to get the guy down. And also, Katsidis showed pretty good stamina to be able to throw that fast and that
hard
that late in the fight. Yeah.
So he has good power, but I think a good boxer is going to outbox him completely.
Without a doubt, Guzman would have destroyed him if they would have fought.
Yeah,
of course.
And he might be tough. We really don't know. He showed some toughness, I guess, with that cut.
Looked like he would probably be tough. Just having that style, you kind of have to be. So
and he fought through the cut at least, or what? But anyhow, we'll see. So yeah, he'll be an interesting fight he'll be a good opponent for someone. Yeah. So all for that. Also, Jorge Linares, however you say that, got a TKO 10 over his opponent, Oscar Larios. Thank you for putting Larios into retirement.
Yeah. And out of our misery. And his, I guess, whatever.
Yep.
But now they'll just show.
And Sock's retired too, by the way, if you care. But.
And both were bleeding on the brain.
Yeah,
or something.
so that didn't sound good.
No.
Sounds like both of them got beat up pretty badly, which they did.
And you could see that, yeah.
Yeah, Larios did take a beating. It went down twice, I think.
Yeah,
I believe so.
Know. Yeah.
And then, yeah, so I mean, good win for Linares. Wouldn't mind seeing him again on Tel Futura.
Yeah, not on an HBO pay-per-view where there's
not
other
when
fights to
not
be
when
shown.
there's better fighters on there.
Definitely.
More interesting to me. Show them all. Then you don't even have the argument.
Yeah, I know.
That's one thing where MMA is beating boxing. They show the entire card.
Yeah, they do. So.
Take a page from them.
Please.
They're kicking your ass.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
In popularity, for sure.
So do something about it.
So start showing the whole card.
Fights, definitely.
Or let us pick the ones to show.
Yeah.
Then you'll
be all right. Yes.